Today, I'm testing a trading strategy that has been around for a while. It's called the Double 7 strategy and was popularized in a book called Short-Term Trading Strategies That Work. These are the rules for the strategy. First, the price has to be above the 200-day moving average. For the entry, the price must close at a 7-day low, at which point you buy, and then you hold until the price closes at a 7-day high. That's the exit signal, and that's when you close the position. The way that I interpreted the entry and the exit condition is based on the closes. For the entry, today's close needs to be lower than the previous 6 closes, and for the exit, today's close has to be higher than the previous 6 days closes. So let's take a look at a few examples of these trades. There's one that happens here. If we look at this red candle here and then count backwards, this is candle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out of all of these 7 candles, this red one has the lowest close. So that gives us the entry signal. The 200-day moving average is way down here, so we're well above the moving average. And according to the strategy, we should enter on the close of this candle. But I don't think that's realistic, so I modified the rules slightly and I'm going to enter on the open of the next day, which is this one here. The price gaps down and we enter down here, and then I hold until the exit condition is met, which happens at this candle here. So if I count backwards, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This candle has the highest close of all of the 7 candles before. So we enter here and exit up here. So this would have been a nice profitable trade. Another example down here, the actual signal happens on this red candle. Counting it back, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This candle's low is lower than quite a few closes actually, even more than 7. But this would give us the entry signal. I then buy at the next day's open, and initially the market goes against the trade. But the strategy has to wait for the exit condition before it can close that trade. And that happens here. If I count backwards, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This has the highest close of the previous 7 candles, including itself. So although this trade went bad to begin with, in the end, it turned out to be a profitable one. But these are just 2 examples. So to see if this strategy really works, I need to test it across a much bigger time window. I've set up my backtest in Python. I won't go through all of the code in detail because I just want to focus on the strategy. But if you do want an explanation of how this code works, then let me know in the comments and I could focus on the code a bit more in a different video. But just at a high level, I start off by importing my Python libraries. I then define my testing date range. So I'm going to test from the 1st of January 92 to the 11th of October 24. I test on the S&P 500 and I will be testing the strategy as well as a buy and hold to give me a comparison. The starting balance is 10,000 just to give some context to the final numbers. Then I calculate the slow moving average. I also calculate a fast moving average. I'll come back to this when I look at some variations. And then I define the period as 7 days, which is what the strategy specifies. After that, I go into a bunch of different functions that allow me to download the price data from Yahoo Finance, calculate my inputs, generate trade signals, and then actually generate the trades themselves. Finally, all of that is wrapped up inside of a backtest function. Once all of that code is run, I'm left with this equity chart here. The yellow line shows the balance of the strategy, and the blue line is the balance of just a buy and hold in the S&P 500. So at first impression, buy and hold definitely outperforms and generates more. So you could have just put the same amount of money into both, and you would have ended up with a bigger profit than you had if you traded actively using the strategy. So at first glance, it's not that great. However, the equity curve of the strategy is a lot smoother than the buy and hold, which has a lot of ups and downs and a lot of drawdown that you would have to wait through. So it's important to have a look in more detail at some of the metrics side by side. I've got them calculated here. So this is the strategy and this is the buy and hold with all of the metrics underneath each heading. The annual return is 6.75% for the trading strategy and 8.35% for buy and hold. This doesn't include dividend reinvestments, so actually the buy and hold would have an even higher return than this shows. The time in the market is important though, because the strategy is only in the market about 30% of the time. So when you adjust the return by that exposure, the strategy performance looks a lot better. Taking it a step further, the maximum drawdown of the strategy is only 8.5% compared to buy and hold's 56, almost 57%. So there's a significant difference in the downside risk when using the strategy. If I then combine the return, the drawdown, and the exposure into one metric, the strategy starts to outperform buy and hold quite a lot. This strategy also has quite a high win rate and a pretty decent reward to risk ratio. So if you look beyond just the annual return and you compare a lot of these other metrics, it actually looks alright. That is the base strategy. So that's the strategy as is described in the book. But I would like to tweak a few parameters and just see what happens. The first thing I want to change is the number of days in this look back period. The strategy rules are that it must be on a 7-day low or a 7-day high close for your entry and exits, which is very specific. So what happens if I make it an 8-day high and an 8-day low? Well, if I rerun the code and have a look at the equity chart again, it looks like it's gotten quite a bit worse. And there's a noticeable problem here with quite a big drawdown here. When I take a look at the metrics, a lot of it looks similar. So the annual return is kind of the same as it was before. The time in the market is roughly 30%, but the max drawdown is almost 2.5 times as big as it was previously. And I think that drawdown is occurring here. What I think is happening is that because the strategy doesn't have a stop loss, it doesn't have an exit, and it has to wait for this exit condition to be met, it means that if it catches a bad trade and this exit condition doesn't get met for a while, then it just holds it all the way down for quite a while. So you could end up with one really bad trade that wipes out a lot of the performance. Taking this one step further, I can remove the period from here and test a range of periods instead. So I rerun my backtest, and this time I'm going to produce a table that allows me to compare the performance of those periods side by side. This column here separates each of the different periods. So period 7 is the default trading strategy. It's the 7-day high and 7-day low closes. These are the numbers that we saw previously: 6.75% annual return, 8.5% drawdown, and all of the other periods compared side by side. If you were to just look at the annual return, it doesn't tell the whole picture, because it kind of looks like from 5, even 4-day periods to 10-day period, the value is quite similar, and there's not that much variation in the strategy. So that would suggest that it doesn't really matter which period you choose. But then when you look at the maximum drawdown, there's a huge difference. For example, the 7-day period and the 8-day period we just looked at, the drawdown goes from 8.5% to 21%, and it continues staying quite high if you're on a 9 and 10-day period. The fact that such a small difference in the rules makes such a big difference to the results tells me that this strategy isn't actually that robust, and it only works with very well-defined parameters. And you can say that the rules are optimized. So I'd like to test out a few different variations to see if I can get some more consistent results across the different periods. I'll need to make a few changes to my code. So if I scroll all the way back up to the beginning, this section here is where I had the systems that I plan to test. And the rest of them I commented out just for now. So I'm going to delete this comment and I will add those systems back in. I've got buy and hold in twice, so I'll remove it from here and keep it at the end here. So the main purpose of the variations is going to be to add some kind of stop loss, because I feel like the exit condition is what's hurting this strategy and leaving it open to these big downward moves that you can't get out of. So I'm going to test alternate exit strategies instead. This first one is going to be a 200 moving average stop. I already have the 200-day moving average. It's used as the first condition of the strategy. So what I'm going to do is that if the price closes below the 200 moving average after we've entered a trade, then I'm going to take that as a stop loss and I will exit there and then. The second exit strategy I will use is a 5 moving average stop. Here I'm going to calculate the 5-day moving average, and if the price closes above that after we enter the trade, then that's going to be my exit signal. I then have a 0-day hold, which basically means that I exit on the same day as I open the trade. So I don't hold overnight, I get my entry signal, enter the trade at the open of the next day, and then close it at the end of that same day. And lastly, I will test a trailing stop strategy. And like before, I will test these on a range of look-back periods. I'm going to rerun my code, but because there's so much more testing happening now, it will take a little bit more time. Now that the backtest is complete, I can look at the same table from before and start to compare the different exit strategies. What I'm focusing on here is the return by exposure over drawdown, which is this metric here. The reason I'm only looking at that one is because it combines the return, the time in the market, and the drawdown to give me one useful number that I can compare. And you can see that number is reflective because here on the 7-day period for the standard trading rule strategy, I have a value of 1.4, which is pretty good compared to the other values. But as soon as I go up to 8, that value drops to 0.61. And the reason for that is the increased drawdown. So what I'm looking for is a consistency in this value as the periods increase. With the standard rules, that doesn't seem to be the case. On the right side of the table, I've got that same metric, but for the 4 different variants of the strategy that I'm testing. The first thing that I notice is that they're a lot more consistent than the original standard trading strategy rules. And you can almost see that as this period increases from 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 10, this value also seems to increase with it. So the strategy performs better as the periods increase, which is not necessarily the case for the original trading rules. The first one here is the 200-day moving average stop loss. So whenever the price closed below 200 MA, I would exit the trade at that point. It is consistent, and the results do seem to improve as the period increases, but overall the value is quite low compared to some of the others. So I don't think that works very well. The same can be said for the 0-day hold strategy, where I exit on the same day as I buy the trade. Again, it's pretty consistent, seems to increase steadily, but the overall number isn't as good as the other strategies. So then we look at this one here, which is the 5-day moving average exit. When the price closes above the 5-day moving average, we exit the trade. Again, it's consistent and it steadily increases, and actually seems to perform better than the original strategy rules in this column. So it's an improvement, and so far it's the best one. This last one here is the trailing strategy. And the performance of this one is also quite good, not quite as good as the 5-day moving average, but it is quite consistent and steady. So I would say that this is the best one. So now I can modify my code again a little bit to only test the strategy, the modified strategy with the 5-day moving average stop, and the buy and hold. And if I rerun this code again, I can have a look at the equity chart as well as the metrics output to see how those perform against each other. So if we scroll down here, I've got the purple line showing buy and hold like before, yellow is the strategy as it is with the standard rules, and blue is the 5-period moving average exit. Again, at first glance, this looks pretty bad. The overall return is nowhere near the other two. But I need to have a look at the metrics in more detail to see why that might be. The annual return of that 5-day moving average stop is 4%, but the time in the market is much lower. It's only 18%. So when you take into account annual returns and time in the market, the return by exposure is pretty decent. The drawdown is also pretty consistent, a little bit higher than the original strategy rules, but remember the drawdown in the original rules varied massively depending on the look back period, whereas this one is a lot more consistent and is still far better than buy and hold. So when you take all of those into account together, this modified strategy performs better than the original strategy and far better than buy and hold. This might seem like a strange conclusion to take from these results, especially when the buy and hold overall balance is far greater than either of the two strategies. So to suggest that this modified strategy somehow performs better than the other two seems a little bit strange. But it comes down to the trading style. I'm looking for trades that are able to generate a decent return without being in the market for a huge amount of time, which is why I pay so much attention to time in the market. Additionally, I want to be able to protect the capital. I don't want big volatility in my equity curve. So drawdown is very important as well. While this strategy on its own only generates 4% annually, because it's in the market 17.6% of the time, the capital is free the rest of the time to be traded with other strategies. So used in isolation, this strategy isn't going to outperform buy and hold. That's obvious from the chart. But it could be a good strategy to use in a basket of other trading methods.